Hey, welcome back to the Travel Ones podcast. Today, my guest is Erik Himel. He's a musician, we'll say a guitarist. How are you today, Erik?
I'm doing good, Peter. How you doing?
Doing excellent. I gave you the brief intro because guitarist doesn't really surmise everything you've done, producing, event
For sure.
producing, traveled around the world, literally. I
Yeah,
caught you kind of in between, so I appreciate the time today.
absolutely.
Give my listeners just a quick summation of all the people and groups you've worked with because it's a long list. I tried memorizing
Yeah,
back then.
I think I could, let's see, the easiest way I could do it is say I'm a guitarist and musical director. So I play for bands that hire me, and I also put together bands for artists that need them, that are touring or they're, traveling. And I can talk more about that later. But I've worked with a lot of international artists, specifically Russian. I've worked
Yeah.
for an artist called Troll, which is the largest Russian rock band in history. I just recently played with an artist named Misha Bublik, also Russian artist. I've worked with Alan Parsons, Mark McGrath, Eagles of Death Metal. I mean, Power Man 5000 was a rock band I used to tour with. A lot of different artists. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and then you did the stage production of 27 in Las Vegas.
that's right. Yep. In 2021, launched 27, the musical adventure, which was a retrospective concert about all the amazing artists that died at 27: Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Amy Winehouse. That show also went on the road in 2022. Prior to that, yeah, I did a 7-year residency at the Viper Room every single Monday, did over 250 shows, which was kind of a local artist showcase thing where my house band would play, and then we would bring up 40 to 50 different players every single night. And through that, I mean, countless musicians then landed major tours, being seen by musical directors, artists, other musicians. So I've been very active for a long time.
You,
Yeah.
you're the reason why people become guitarists, though. It's like you've kind of had that dream career of working around the world with,
Yeah.
I mean, just the top level people in the whole music industry.
Yeah, it's true. And it's funny though, the dream changes, what you think the dream is supposed to be, it
Yeah.
never ends up being that anyway. But then what you get always is better in the end.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because like people tell me how lucky I am. I get to work in Las Vegas for 16 days for the rodeo, and I'm like, eh, it's still 16 days in a hotel, still eating every meal out. It's
Yeah,
not having your own bed, your own
yeah.
food, your own clothes to choose from.
You do have an expense account, which is nice.
No, no, I'm a 100% independent contractor, so
Oh, okay.
so I'm just like you guys. Like when I'm on the road, everything costs
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
Yeah, so
That is true.
it's the level of
It's
hotels, right? It's like, I don't
right,
need this
right,
bad, but I don't need to be Four Seasons if I'm paying for it.
right, right. No, 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 it's true. It's the accommodations are always different, you know.
What
It's just
how many different countries have you toured in?
I just counted recently. I've been to somewhere like 35 countries now, but I think I've played in probably 30 of them, or 25 or 28 countries, something like that. Yeah.
Is there any country or place you still on the list? Like I
I
can't
mean,
wait.
oh God, there's so many I would love to perform in and see for sure. But standout ones that I have performed in would have to be Russia, actually.
It must be a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania thing. Kurt Angle, I asked him the most influential place he's ever been to, and he said Russia.
Wow. It's a very misunderstood place,
He said
you
it was the
know.
people. He said the people were
Yeah.
just spectacular to him.
They are absolutely amazing. And it's a very, like, it's a misunderstood place, but it's so rich in history, it's rich in culture. In fact, that entire region, if you look at Eastern Europe as a whole, it's a very complicated area,
Yeah.
but there's so much culture, there's so much history. and the people really are fantastic. And I'm sure his experience was similar to mine, where you're told something your whole life, and then you visit somewhere and you're met with, like, complete joy and people that are curious about you and want to know what it's like, and you're doing the same thing. It's really magical.
Yeah, he said that because wrestling over in Russia is a huge sport. He said it's like
Yeah.
baseball. I mean, it's everyone watches wrestling. So when he went over there as a amateur wrestler, not WWE stuff, he
Right.
was completely well respected. He didn't have to explain what he did. He didn't have to. No, it's not WWE,
Amazing.
and it was just so like you said. It just he goes. I don't like necessarily the politics of the location, but the people there were
Sure.
phenomenal.
Sure. And I think that's, I mean, I'm certainly no geopolitical expert, but it just kind of comes with the territory of being there. It's not like the majority of people are into it.
Yeah,
It's just a consequence of where they are, kind of thing.
totally agree.
But
Well, that's that
they're
music.
developed enough. They,
And music is
say
kind
again?
of the arbiter of not caring about politics, right? It's like you don't go to a concert.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a great video, Joel, when he performed in Russia the first time. I think it was like 1989, the Matter of Trust tour. And you could see, like the energy of the crowd is unbelievable. You can see how there's no barrier whatsoever when it
Yeah,
came to just enjoying the music.
that's when Metallica went over there and played.
Same thing, yeah.
They said it was over 1 million people in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's like,
That might have been that might have been the first Western concert over there after the wall came down. I'm not sure, but you can see the joy on people's faces,
yeah.
because they actually had to get all that music bootlegged before that. It was illegal to have those records.
I think that's interesting you said because I'd never thought. I remember as a kid, and I'm older than you, but it wasn't as music wasn't as accessible as it is now. I mean,
Right.
I can watch YouTube and all of a sudden get into a random algorithm of some crazy bands, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they're really good. Oh, that guy's good. You couldn't do
Yeah.
that back in the day. The radio played what they played.
No, I always took it for granted, because the artist Mummy Troll that I worked with, the singer, is one of the most famous rock singers in Russia. He was telling me, growing up in the far east of Vladivostok, they would get a Rod Stewart record that was disguised as something else, or that you didn't know what you would get. So just to get music was such a privilege. And there was also these things called like these X-ray records. You can buy them, where they basically pressed records onto X-rays. You distribute them through Russia, and they're
Oh,
quite collectible. Yeah, because people wanted to get the music, but if you got caught with a Rod Stewart record or something else, you forget about it. You're not
yeah,
gonna, you'll be in
they don't have the
quite
same
trouble.
rights and regulations.
Certainly not back then, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But it was the same with another artist who I worked with, Andy, over in Iran, where he was banned because his music was bootlegged and being sold under the table in these marketplaces, and then he got banned in Iran. But he's the biggest singer in Iran. So it's I guess, yeah, we take it for granted and don't even realize, like, how lucky we are that even 30 years ago we could go into any record shop and buy something,
yeah.
consume it.
Well, I remember when they started putting the headphones in the record stores so you could like listen to different
Yeah,
music and stuff. And that was like amazing. It's like, oh, did you hear that? It's like,
yeah. Well, then you can preview it and see if you like it and stuff like that too, which is great.
yeah, now, like my daughters, they'll never know that. Just like they don't know life without a cell phone. So it's like
Sure.
I had to show them how to read a map. Yeah.
Much simpler time.
Go to G8 and find Harness Street, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like G8. Yeah.
No, my favorite thing now is when my phone dies and I have to rely on old instincts to do anything or get where I need to go.
Well, I taught myself a lesson, Eric. I was going to Denver for work, and I left my phone in the car. My wife was dropping me off, so I was charging it up, and I left it in the car, and I got out, and she went home, and I'm like,
Yeah.
huh, okay, how do I do this again? Like, you know, there's my
Yeah,
ID.
it's
Had to
true.
get my boarding pass. Had to get the paperwork.
Yeah.
I had to when I got to Denver, I had to I find a payphone, hit O for the operator to get the hotel shuttle, because I
Wow.
didn't have the phone number
Old
because it
school.
was my phone.
Right.
So yeah, no
Amazing.
emails and no text for 2 days. It was interesting.
Amazing. It's kind of freeing in a way, it really
Yeah.
is.
It's freeing until your boss wants to get a hold of you.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. You better be
I
on
was
vacation when
recently
that
on,
happens.
well, I was recently on a trip in Sardinia and I did this. I kind of ignored the phone. It didn't exist. So it was quite amazing to really immerse myself,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that's why I talked to some of
without
the
without
musicians. The older musicians, I go, how did you travel back in the day? I mean, how did you do a European tour if
yeah,
you couldn't just look up the cheapest flight and the hotel and reviews and restaurants? I mean, you just showed up and asked
yeah.
people. You had to ask people.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, and I still do that now. Any city I go to, the front desk, I just start talking to them right away because I assume that most of what I read online is going to be
Bias.
promoted for,
Yeah.
yeah, bias and promoted. So if I'm gonna ask a local and see what they have to say and see if it matches up to what I've read, you know.
Yeah. Do you try and schedule in tours like that with food or museums or local sites?
Oh, for sure, for sure. I always make sure I get like at least a museum in, you know. I'm a big fan of that, an art museum or natural history, you
Yeah,
know.
I am too.
And of course, seeing whatever sites you have to see in a place. But surprisingly, I don't do them all, right? Like I lived in Paris for 10 months and I have never been on top of the Eiffel Tower, even though I walk past it 3 times a day.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know what I choose to do. It's kind of funny sometimes, I'll see the site and then I'm like, okay, I'll go do something else, but I'll make sure I see them at least,
My daughter's taught me that lesson. I'll tell you something. I was the same way. Like I lived in LA. I've lived in Southern California for 40 plus years, my entire adult life. And that's like
Yeah.
I never did the Hollywood tour, all the vans going around, because I'm like,
Yeah.
screw that. I ain't doing that. And my daughter
Well,
was going off to college and she goes, hey, I go, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to do one of those tours. I go, really? Like, all right.
yeah,
We do it.
that's
And it was
funny.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
some of the things that I've driven by 1,000 times, I never looked right and said, oh, that's where Pretty Woman was filmed, or oh, there's the Iron Man house, or
Right.
you know,
I did my first one of those tours in Norway last month. I had never done like the big red bus or one
yeah,
of
yeah.
those where you, it's funny what you're saying. You lived for 40 years. I lived in LA for about 15 years. And if somebody's asked me what to do here, I would have no idea where to send them. But if they said they were going to like Vienna, I'd be like, dude, you have to go to these 20 places right now. Go see this guy at this house. It's the funniest thing. I don't know. When it comes to LA, I don't even know where we would start, what we'd see.
Well, and every time
It's
one of
the
my
Hollywood
relatives
side.
comes out, they're like, First thing we have to see is the ocean." That's.
Sure.
And I'm like, to me, it's like it's right there. It's like it's the ocean. But for them, if they're Midwest, Ohio, Texas, wherever, they want to experience sand and ocean. I'm like, all right, let's go do it.
I mean, you've been 40 years and you're right down there by it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was going to be a lot warmer.
Totally true.
So when when people come here, I'm like, well, it's nice, it's beautiful to look at, but you might want to have a wetsuit. Like it's really cold.
I go, it's not Mexico, it's not Hawaii.
Yeah, right, right, right. It's not Turks and Caicos,
Yeah.
but it's still an incredible sight to see. I mean, the sunsets in Malibu are just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And that goes back. Yeah, there's so much history around here. Like, I mean, there's just I'm like you. It's like one of the guys I interviewed was Don Wildman, and he does a lot of the History Channel
Uh,
shows on museums underground and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm those are the shows I watch when I'm on the road in the hotel room by myself.
yeah,
And so I got him on the show, and we talked about how his passion for doing that has built in a career.
I mean, you have to see some of it because that's some of the character of the city, right?
Yeah.
It's landmarks but that can beat a local experience, you know, really plugging in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing I try and do when I'm on the road too, is find out some of the interest. I'm like you. I was just like you. It's like you come to LA, I'd be like, I don't know that. Go over there or
Yeah,
go to Sunset, you know. But if
yeah,
you go to Salinas, I could tell you all about John Steinbeck and the lettuce fields and growth and
that's amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing.
So
Well,
how much has the music industry changed? I mean, you've been doing it for 20 plus years.
I've been doing a professional level for about 15 years, where it's just my main source of income, sort of thing. I started when I was much younger, but I was looking kind of opportunity, don't mind doing it,
You broke up there a little bit there.
something. Oh, sorry. Am I back?
There it goes.
Am I back?
You're back now.
Okay. Uh, for artists as well, so you're kind of limited in a lot of ways. So I'd say 15 years, yeah, and it certainly has changed for sure.
Do you think it's getting better now, or or is it just different?
Now, now, if anybody asked me or said, "Hey, I'm thinking about becoming a musician," I'd just tell them to go get a different job. Yeah, I mean, in a sarcastic kind of way. I mean, you need to pursue your dreams, but it certainly has never been harder, and the opportunities have never been more narrow, and there certainly has been never this much money squeezed out of every situation. I mean, now you're looking at artists that are basically touring on the level they're touring because that's their last untapped, you know, uh, source of income. Their merchandise, their guarantees, where they actually can still generate real money because with the streaming situation, I don't know the total ins and outs, but it certainly has made it very difficult for especially songwriters to make real money. I have a friend, she's written, you know, tons of Katy Perry number ones and all kinds of hits, and you see her putting post up on, her social media asking for the support, for her album because it's a real thing, you know, for artists.
Right. The Spotify payout is a third of a penny,
Yeah,
0.003 cents
that's for the songwriter or
for the
just
artist.
yeah. So if you if you own the master recording, you're going to get the majority of the money. So the record labels made a deal with those companies, all those streaming companies many years ago
Yeah.
that people overlooked. And I'm always devil's advocate. I take both sides of it. I understand that the artist is the creative and it's their heart and soul, but I mean, somebody made the deal and they were okay with it. So it's kind of, I'm always looking at it from both sides. Somebody was a genius in the business world, but then at the same time, the artist was, were affected by it. But somebody had the idea and had become very rich from it. So
Yeah. Well, Steve Stevens said the same thing to me about if I had any friends that want to become a musician, be like something else.
yeah,
Like enjoy a guitar, enjoy your being a musician, but earning a
and
living
that's okay, and that's coming from somebody that's like at the top level,
at 50 years in. Yeah, 50 plus.
50 years in, songwriting credits, touring with Billy Idol for many years, Top Gun theme, that's when you got real money getting
Yeah.
paid to do movie soundtracks. I mean, so they're really giving you a bird's eye view of how things have changed.
Yeah, and he's still touring. I mean, it's
Yeah,
the only way to make money now.
but he also changed his lifestyle and moved to Las Vegas and gets more bang for his buck where needed,
Absolutely.
and that seems to be a trend. The money isn't necessarily becoming greater, so what can we do? We can lower our expenses in whichever ways we can to find a better path.
Well, yeah, Mark Wahlberg just moved to Vegas too, in the studio
Yep.
and everything else.
And Warner Brothers just put up
Yeah,
8.5 billion, I read, for a new studio there, which is that different than his, or it's the same one? I don't
different.
know.
Yeah.
There you go. So now you have two studios in Vegas. So it
Well,
used to be it mattered a lot where you were. I'm not sure that's the case anymore.
right.
So if you're a musician, you can have opportunities through social media and things where you can limit your expenses and stay in the Midwest. You don't have to come to LA and pay 5 times rent that you would pay where you're at.
And
And you
5 times
might
taxes and everything else.
exactly. So it's a changing environment. So if, like I said, if the money isn't getting greater, what can you do? You can just control your own, what any business would do, right? Like people don't know it about me. I have a BSBA in business management. So I've always looked at my career as a sense of, from that standpoint. I have some friends like, how do you do this? I go, well, I make sure I get paid. You know what I mean? Like I'm always getting paid when I do something. And that's why I'm not the musician sleeping on the couch 15 years later. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in that position, you know. But if you don't think about yourself as a business sense and you're not thinking about ways that you can slim down and you're just taking the way that the money's still the same or getting cut, you're eventually going to dry up. You won't be able to hang.
It's interesting you said that because I've talked to several rodeo athletes, and they're a brand.
Yeah,
they're world champs, but they almost none of them consider themselves that.
sure.
And because they don't consider it like a business. And I always tell them, I was like, you have XYZ is your name, and that's the brand. What can you get from it? And then you have your name, and that's just you and your wife and your kids and all that. But
Right.
your brand's your brand. You got to get paid. You got to, represent yourself well, blah, blah, blah. But they don't separate them too well.
Yeah, it's the
A lot of musicians are like that too. I create
well,
music.
that's true, but you're in the music business and there's two words there, music and business. And if you neglect the business part of it, you end up in a situation where artists are getting a third of a penny or whatever on the dollar for their streams because they weren't educated in business enough for everybody to stand together or against the record company. Or I don't know exactly the chain of command how it happened. Maybe the record company just had enough rights over their music and there was nothing they could do anyways. But yeah, it's music business. So
No, that's the saying. It's not show of friends. It's
no, and
show
there's a
business.
really good interview with Shep Gordon, who's a famous music manager and kind of created the Celebrity Chef, and he goes, what's the best way as a manager? Like what tips can you go? There's three things. Always get the money. Two, never forget to get the money, and always remember to never forget to get the money. There you go. It's music business. So I always think about that kind of stuff when I'm thinking about my band. I just confirmed a show. It's New York for an artist, and I go, okay, first things first. When's that deposit coming in? When's that wire coming in? I need to know. I have to book travel. I'm not coming out of pocket for anything.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. They teach you everything how to. I didn't go to school for music, but if you go to Guitar Institute or something, sure, you learn how to be an amazing guitar player, but you don't really learn how to make money doing it.
Well, even I tell you, when my daughters graduated college, I sat down with both of them. I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out credit cards. What does a credit
Yeah,
card really mean? You know,
right,
let's look at interest and how much that top really cost you.
right,
That
right.
you needed. Let's look at all these things. And my oldest one's like, why didn't they teach us this even in high school? Like checkbooks and
Oh, sure.
credit cards and debt ratios and basic. Like, what do you need?
Yeah, I've you know, it's I've always kind of felt that they don't teach you that stuff for a reason because they want to keep you you're, enslaved to the idea of paying the credit cards and
Yeah, that's
God,
it.
God for, now you have all the information you could want if you want to take it in on the internet or on podcasts and YouTube, but you know,
I think that's part of
uh,
the control that they don't like that they've lost.
for sure. I mean, without going too much into it, the last few years I've transitioned out of that. Like no debt, no liabilities to anything tied. I don't keep a lease anywhere, you know. I just I move where I need to move when I need to move, and I don't have liabilities doing it. I don't want to be sucked into that kind of what you're talking about.
And your
Those,
credit score has gone down because of all that success.
yeah, a little bit, sure.
Yeah, if you don't have
Because
debt, your score goes down.
yeah, you know what? And I was talking to somebody this morning about that, and I go, that's fine with me. I mean, when I die, they're gonna put my credit score on my tombstone. It's still quite good, but it's funny. Growing up, I'd always be intimidated by, oh, it's gonna hurt your credit. Oh, well, what if I just have cash? Like, is that okay? Like,
Yeah.
is it gonna hurt my cash if
Well,
I
that's the yeah, I had
if I
no
pay
credit
for
cards,
this?
no debt, and my car's paid off and all that, and I was like, my score was like in the 600s. I'm like, I have nothing, no debt,
Wow.
no bad marks. I'm like, and they're like, oh, you need. So I got one credit card, pay it off
Yeah,
every month,
yeah,
and now your credit score jumps way up because you assume debt. It's like, what?
yeah. I, it's not an easy place to get to, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are trying, and it's not easy, but I don't I'm out of that kind of mentality, and I
Yeah,
won't go back in. I don't want to be tethered anywhere. I understand what happens with families and mortgages and things. And like when I met you, I had my house. Well, I don't
yeah.
have my house anymore. You know,
That's what allowed you to go to Paris.
that's right. When I bought my house, I didn't understand it because I didn't grow up learning about that kind of thing. And when I
Yeah,
got into something like that, I go, well, this is doable, but I feel like I have handcuffs, and I envision myself in handcuffs for 30 years.
yeah,
And I don't like the feeling of that. You know, it's like I've never really subscribed to the idea of, oh, well, when you retire, you can do this. Well, I've had too many family members and people I've looked up to that had 1 year of retirement before they passed away, even if they were in great health. So, I don't to have something over my head for 30 years, I'm not into that. So, yes, getting rid of that allowed me to that was kind of the final puzzle piece. When I understood that is when I went off to Europe.
what'd you do over in Europe? What were you over there for?
Well, so it started in 2022. I had been to Europe many times for touring, but I've never gone on vacation.
Okay.
So I've been all over the world for the last, 15 years, but prior to a couple of years ago, it was always touring. And with that, maybe the last show was in London. I'll say, hey, fly me home 3 days later. So I get 3 days in London.
Right.
But I never did something like, hey,
Prague.
the last show's
Yeah.
in yeah, London, so fly me home from, I don't know, Rome, and I'll go around for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
which you can do. Most artist managers are pretty cool about that. So 2022, I took a couple trips to Europe just for total vanity, just because my show had ended in Vegas. I was kind of COVID was still a thing in LA, believe it or
Yeah.
not. So there was still not a lot of opportunity to play. And I go, okay, well, I might as well do something with my time. Went over to Europe, met some friends, and took a one-way ticket. And that opened my eyes to a whole new way of traveling. And then 2023, because of the political situation in Russia, some of my clients from over there from years ago
Yeah.
said, well, we have shows, but we can't bring our band, you know, but we can bring the singer, but we can't bring musicians because they don't have visas. So I said, okay, great. And that's where I come in as a musical director. That's what
Yeah.
happened with this artist Misha Bublik a few weeks ago in LA. He had a private party. He has no band, so I just get the music. I get the musicians together. I organize the playback tracks, everything.
Yeah.
He steps in. We do one rehearsal as if it was his band over in Russia, and the artist is totally comfortable and doesn't have to worry. So what led me to Paris was 2023, that situation with another artist. I had, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 shows over there. And I go, well, I'm over here all the time. I might as well just stay here.
Yeah.
and that was what prompted it. And then being in Paris, I started doing what I did in LA 15 years ago, meeting whoever I could, musicians, music agencies, hotel operators, anybody, just to try to understand the scene and understand how things worked over there. So,
So why'd you come
yeah.
back?
Well, I came back because it's so funny. When I was in the US, all my opportunities were in Europe. And then when I was living in Europe, all my opportunities were in the US. It's like, I, it's totally backwards.
Yeah.
So I had made a decision to move back to the US, and then another turn of fate in my life happened where, I met somebody who she was in the US. She had come over there, and then now we've started our project together. She had sung with my band before. So now I'm back in the US, and my life couldn't be more of a 180. So, but those doors are still open over there, which is great, right? So I've
Yeah.
established a presence over there and can easily now bank off of that networking to set things up in Paris for my next trip over there, whether it's a show or acoustic
I
thing
think
or
because,
whatever.
we talked about it a little bit, but I have a friend, he's a director, TV show director, and he lives in
Yeah.
Denver. Like he didn't want to
Wow.
raise his kids in LA. So
Yeah.
he goes, I have
Yeah.
to commute to Burbank, when the show's in and he's directing, but he goes, I'd rather raise my kids where I want to raise them and just be in an airport. It's not a big, it seems like it's not of a big deal to fly that much.
No, not at all. And that's a what, 2.5 hour flight. You could probably just do a JSX even that the
Yep.
studio pays for. Next thing you know, I mean, that I'd say that out of the whole thing that happened with COVID, that's the most positive thing, right? Was looking at a new perspective of how to approach how you work and how you live.
Yeah.
Obviously, in it and during the time, everybody was frustrated and scared and was really terrible. But I would never be where I'm at now if it wasn't for COVID and
It's 100%.
thinking outside the box of, okay, well, okay, I'm in LA, but I have to be in LA for me to get my touring opportunities, but can't go here. And then when LA was closed and I had an opportunity in Vegas, I go, wow, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Just, now I'm working in Vegas, no problem, and then it spins in spirals and you start to understand more that you can really go anywhere.
Well, that's,
Really.
yeah, I totally agree because like my show is about talking to business travelers who,
Yeah.
for better or worse, are usually traveling for work, so they're hard to get a hold of. But
Yeah.
during COVID, all of a sudden they were at home.
Yeah.
So I literally was doing 2 episodes a week because I was getting 8, 10 in the can because everyone was looking for something to do.
Amazing.
And then like that's when I got Steve. Steve had just come back from Australia. Steve Stevens, and he ended up he did the theme song for my show because he's like, man, I got time here. Send me what you got. Fucking one night, doodle it out, send it back to me. And I was like, oh, okay,
That's awesome.
yeah. But
I had no idea.
that's because of COVID though, because he was like
Yeah.
sitting around doing nothing. It was a Friday night when he worked on it. My daughter was in in Tennessee. I was here, and he was in Vegas,
Wow.
and we just
Amazing.
kept emailing back the tracks back and forth.
That's so cool.
Technology though, right? So,
No, it's changed the game.
so what is you kind of got around the fact that you have a potential new partner and you got
Yeah.
something coming up.
Yeah, well, I've always tried to keep okay, so for me, I really started to appreciate travel if we rewind earlier about Russia. That was when the first place I left out of the US was Russia. Most people go to England and they go to
Yeah.
London or Paris. I went to Moscow and I went to Sochi and I went to the Olympics. So imagine me, I'm just, wow, this couldn't be more
Yeah.
and I really, really just, the warmth of people there started this kind of almost obsession with traveling for me, getting to see yourself from a different perspective
Yeah.
and being outside of where you're normally at really just, it's a priceless gift, right? So I've always tried to find a way to merge travel and my profession and passion for music. And I have been slightly unsuccessful at this point with narrowing it down, and I've mulled different ideas. I still I am in the early stages of developing kind of something like a world music guide where people can go to a city and they'll be able to find live music and things like that. And there's a few ideas I've had surrounding it, but yeah, through my new partner, we both share that level of passion for travel, and I've never met anybody really that could hang on that level,
Yeah.
because I'll do 4 countries in 10 days or 12 days, no problem, and I'll go hard and I'll see the stuff that we need to see. Like I get in it, I understand that travel is hard, but as soon as we land, I'm out. I'll do a 17-hour flight to Cyprus and I'm out immediately. I drop the
Yeah.
bags. I sometimes don't even shower. I just go. I go. Let's see what's up. Let's see what's out there. And so with her, we were developing our new travel partners in Passport, where we're going to do a little joint account where we're going to document our adventures and document our what we're seeing, through the lens of musicians as well, because she's also a singer. So I'm excited to get that going, and we already have a ton of content we filmed in Sardinia,
Oh,
Italy,
nice.
Paris, um, Las Vegas. We filmed a ton in Hawaii last month, so we're just going through it and getting it ready to launch. So probably by the time this airs, we'll be up there, partners in Passport on Instagram. So that'll be a nice new fun venture for me, because I'm already there doing things for work. I'm already getting paid to be there,
Yeah.
so it's might as well tack on some extra stuff to it.
I think that's kind of the key with a lot of entrepreneurs that you see opportunities, you know,
Sure.
and that's pretty cool that you're going to do that.
And so if you look at it from that, I have a tour coming up with that same Russian artist Mumitrol, where we have 20 shows over the course of 6 weeks. But when I see that we have the last like where we play, say, Toronto on a Sunday, and then we would typically fly back for a few days to LA or wherever I would go. And
Yeah.
then they would fly me to the next show, which could be, if it's in Toronto, maybe the next show is in Chicago on Thursday. So that gives you 3 days off. So I just tell Harmony, I said, hey, why don't you just meet me in Toronto and let's use that as a place where we can explore and discover, and we can add to our page. We can go from there, and then we'll just take a little road trip to Chicago. And from the business perspective, the tour manager doesn't care. He just,
Yeah. As long as you show
they
up.
yeah, as long as you're at the venue, they can you can work out whatever deal. Typically I would ask them to buy me out of my flights. Hey, whatever that flight costs, just put it on my check, and then I'll just use that to rent a car. And
Right.
so I'm looking at things from that perspective too. Like, okay,
Yep.
when you have something, you've got to go with it. There's so many ways to take it, not advantage, but to maximize what you're doing.
I think
And
about that all the time.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
You
You
have
do.
to.
You're in sales, you're in business, but the average musician probably doesn't.
Correct.
They're probably just going to be afraid to ask the tour manager, "Hey, can you fly me somewhere else?" Because they think they're going to lose the gig if they ask a question. But I don't know.
You've been
It's
around for a
I'm
day.
I'm I'm excited about it because
Yeah.
it's and we perform together, so we have a lot of opportunities with some different resorts that we can perform at, and we can also create content
Content.
for. So it's a win-win. It's kind of like the ultimate situation.
I interviewed Jeff Bradford, who was in the Army for 20 years, got out, took his retirement, and he wanted to go to distilleries and wineries, all people that make alcohol.
Yeah,
So he started creating content of that place. And now the 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 manufacturers are calling him up saying, "Hey, come do an episode at my place. I'll pay you. We just want the footage so we can use it for
that's
our."
amazing.
So he's in Switzerland, he's in Scotland, he's doing all this stuff
That's
just
so
because he
cool.
created content.
Well, the good thing about this is you always want to find. I think you want to find somebody that can complement your skills, right? Like I hate doing that. I'll be honest. Like I love photography, but I don't like the nuance of putting it together.
Yeah.
And so Harmony, my partner, she loves doing it. So it works out great because she doesn't like the business side. For me, there's nothing I love more than trying to pitch something to a hotel or to a venue. Like I love it, you
Yeah.
know. I love to see what I can accomplish. I'd love to see being able to sell a show to Virgin Hotels, Las Vegas, and meeting Richard Branson. It's like it's a challenge for me. I love it. I'll take a million no's every day. I don't mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, you're in sales, so it's nice to have somebody that compliments it, and I'm looking forward to that. Being able to relinquish some duties that maybe you have to do if you're doing it all yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think I'm trying to think. I mean, in business, yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to play to your strength, and then find people that can help you with your weakness.
Right,
So,
right. I mean, so that's amazing that he can go around and do all that. I
but
mean,
he he hired a guy who does
you're
all the
right,
filming and all the editing because he's like, I don't want to do, I don't want to
right,
become a
right.
filmographer. I just want to do what I do.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And you're going to be in the same boat, my friend.
That's for sure, for sure. And I'm excited about it because it's the ultimate. It's finding a way to merge your passion for travel and music on your own dime and on your own time,
Sure.
rather than being at the beck and call of not. I shouldn't say that in a way that sounds burdensome, but yeah, to another artist, another manager, or whatever. You're getting freedom to do what you need to do or
Well,
what you want
I
to do.
mean, you're not 18 years old starting out
Right.
either.
No, no, no. I'm 37.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, 37, and I've been at it a long time, and some opportunities and some offers seem better than others as time goes by. Certain things you wouldn't do anymore, but you've had to endured and done every experience under the sun, you know.
Just remember that about
So
women. The
yeah,
same, right? I mean, what you wanted at 22 in a partner,
yeah, it's
probably not
true.
what you want at 37, maybe not what you want in your 50s.
No, it's true. It's very much true, and it's just funny to me, even just in how quickly it can change in 1 year or two
Yeah.
years, and then sure, the great distance from what you thought 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be really fun, and we've got some really cool stuff coming from it.
So you're going to be based out of Vegas for a while then.
Yeah, I'll be going back and forth between Vegas and LA, and it looks like probably back to Paris in December is the
Okay.
plan. October, November, I'll do 20 shows, like I said, throughout 6 weeks. So kind of back and forth through in there. And then
Uh,
actually I'll be doing my first cruise ever and the end of
Working?
at the beginning. No, actually just
Oh,
this just doing it at the beginning of October. I've never been on a cruise, if you can believe that. So
my first cruise was 7 years, 6 years ago, something like that.
wow. Wow.
I just never, I was like, my wife's been on a whole bunch. I just never been on one. We went on a rockabilly cruise.
Wow.
There was a whole bunch of rockabilly bands, little straight jackets and some different bands, Big Sandy. And so they
That's
were
so
playing at
cool.
night and Doris Mayday was the host. And so I've had Big Sandy on my show. Doris was on the
That's so
show.
cool. That's so cool. Did you enjoy it?
It's okay.
Okay.
For
What are the
me, like if I go to Louisville,
uh-huh.
I'm going to go to the Muhammad Ali Museum. I'll go to the Louisville Bat Museum. I'll go to Kentucky, go to all the different things. When you're on a ship, it's like, it's a big ship, but it's still,
Sure.
you're kind of stuck there. And then, so when we got off in Ensenada. We did a whole bunch of fun stuff when we were off in port.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of designed in a way that you would go to the casino and spend your money at the casino and stuff like that.
Go to the pool. Like
Right,
I
right.
live next to the ocean. I was like, I'm good.
That's true. That's true. Okay, well, that'll be interesting to see how
Where are you going out of?
out of Miami, and I actually
Oh, that'd
don't
be
know
fun
where
though.
it's
Yeah, through the
going.
Caribbean or whatever.
Okay.
That'd be
Yeah, I
good.
think I think it stops at a private island, but that private island is owned by
Yeah.
Carnival or whoever that
Yeah, yeah.
carrier is.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But it's
I would,
but see, to me, I think about it like that. Like we went down to Mexico and it's like, okay, I've been to Puerto
right,
Vallarta, I've been to Tijuana, I've been to Ensenada, I've been
yeah, yeah,
yeah, all right. But the rockabilly was fun because that was every night, so that added something that wasn't typical. I've interviewed a couple people, comedians and singers that work the tours on cruises.
well, I was gonna say probably our mutual friend Britt Lightning has probably done it with Vixen. They probably did that '80s cruise or
They
something.
do a lot of them, yeah. But I mean,
Yeah,
like,
Monsters of Rock.
yeah, yeah. But
That's it.
the Spinners, I've interviewed two of the
Yeah,
Spinners, the R&B group, and they do a lot of the '80s groups and all that. But
right,
I Ashley sings on the ship, like she's the every night singer.
right,
So she flies to Miami. She does the cruise. So sometimes she fly into Houston, I guess, and go out of the Houston area. But she goes on the ship, and then they fly her usually back. Like she'll only do
right,
one way out or one way back.
right, right. So it's kind of what come hop on, hop off kind of thing.
Yeah. So she'll do like 3 or 4 days on, and then like they end up in Turk or Bermuda. She'll get off there. Another singer will come on, so the you don't have the same singer every night
Oh, right,
for a whole
right.
week. So she
And
sings for
she'll
3 or 4 days and then flies home from Bermuda, and then the other singer comes on, and
oh, cool.
so and the comedians
Well,
are
that's
the same
cool
way.
too. Yeah, because you don't want it. If you're performing, it's you don't want it to be stale in a way. Surprisingly, in Vegas, being in the same room the same night for over a year, playing 200 shows, I thought it would get stale, and it didn't. I think because the band was so good and we were so on. But also, you're not only confined to the casino.
Yeah,
You can go to Las Vegas, you can go to Denver for the weekend, you can do anything. On the ship, yeah, I guess it's what you're saying is you're just kind of, if you did that for 8 months, it would be kind of
but it would
the
also,
same
I mean,
thing, right?
I think the difference too is like if you're on the ship, it could be the same crowd, like the same people,
Right,
because that's what they like to do.
right.
So you're literally playing to the same people every night for 5 nights in a row. Whereas
Yeah.
in Vegas, it's a different crowd every night.
It's always changing over. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, I saw Luke Bryan's residency during the rodeo there. It was a
Uh-huh.
phenomenal show. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a Vegas show. I mean, it wasn't just a country singer on the stage. He had things going on
I saw that show too. They did a really good job.
with the stage that came up and came out. And
Yeah. Yeah, because country music is not typically about that, you
no,
know.
I saw
So
George Strait
finding
at T-Mobile, and it was kind of boring.
yeah,
Like,
he's just standing there with a guitar probably.
yeah, and just him. The band was all
Yeah.
hitting. So,
Yeah.
well, it was also
So
after a long night. Because he's not rock and roll. I was like,
no,
I
no,
think he
but
started like at 10 because it was after the rodeo ended. And
yeah, but even so, I mean, your country music is typically not. There's not entertainment value in going to see, bands from the nine. I mean, maybe Shania Twain, sure, but if you're going to see
right.
like Toby Keith or
Well, you
Joe
can't see
Diffie
him
or
anymore.
something, right? Or Joe Diffie, you can't see either. But it's like those guys are just up there playing. They don't care about screens and pyro. And then yeah, so it's interesting to see how Vegas adapted a show like Luke
Yeah,
Bryan's and took what traditionally wouldn't be that kind of show and made it Vegas-fied, as you could say, maybe.
absolutely.
Keeping it authentic, I really enjoyed it. That was a good show. I would see it again for sure.
I would see him too. I'm trying to think. I actually saw Toby Keith because Cowboy Troy, who plays the Big and Rich, opened up for Toby
Yep.
during the rodeo, and it's a good show. It's like, but
Yeah.
Strait was, he's in his 60s. He just sat there, and I just worked, like 12 straight days. So at 11 o'clock at night, I'm getting
Yeah.
sleepy. So
Yeah.
just
No,
that
no,
was
no.
me, not so much him, but I'll get some hate from George Strait fans on this.
Oh no.
I won't hashtag George Strait on this episode.
One of the greats though. But yeah, I could see it. I totally get it because they're not about that. They're
Yeah.
just about perform the music and listening. So but they they do a good job there. You know,
Oh,
Vegas,
absolutely.
there's no, oh God, there's no shortage of amazing productions there. You know, that was one thing I enjoyed about living there, was that you'd never be bored. You can go out every night and see a different artist or a different production show or a magic show, and you'll never be able to see them all.
That's absolutely true. I try the last couple of years, I've really made an effort to see more shows instead of just going out drinking and gambling and that kind of thing. So I'm there for 16 nights, and it's like, okay,
When you go, I'll send you to go see Mike Hammer. He's down at the Four Queens. He's a really cool comedy magic show.
okay,
Yeah, that's one you got to check out too.
absolutely. Well, who else are you? Do you know who you're going to be working with there? Do you have any?
Right now, we are, see, I have a country kind of event corporate band and called the Pistol Blonde, and we do tons of events and weddings mostly. We really don't do a ton of public performances.
Okay,
And I just was in talks with one of the casinos today for us to do an NFR show. So I don't have it locked in yet. And
all
then
right,
also with my partner Harmony, her project Harmony Shay also is being booked at one of the casinos. So it's all
working.
being inked as we speak.
Well, I definitely have to. I'll definitely promote it to all my friends.
Oh, thank you. As
They're in
soon
the
as I know, you'll know for sure.
they're in the rodeo season over there.
No, it's huge, you know. And if you like country music, you can go there and you can see anybody, you know.
Yeah,
You can see
everybody. I mean that for that week and a half.
every casino has a headliner or two in the same night.
Yeah, it's Reba. It'll be Jelly Roll. It'll be Tim McGraw. So it's like,
Everybody,
yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
That'll be fun.
Well, it'll be okay. I get to see them. Usually they walk through my booth during the day. You know, as an artist, they're just walking around. Billy Gibbons will come in and buy a new hat, and yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So and they're just normal people, and they're just walking around shopping.
Right. And where will your booth be set up?
We'll be at the Horseshoe again. So
Okay.
well, so the company I work for, we have three booths at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which is the big one.
Yep.
Then we'll have three booths at Horseshoe, which is the old Bally's, right
Yep.
on the strip, and then three over at or four at the Rio. And so
Gotcha.
I run the one booth, one of the booths at the Horseshoe,
Wow.
and then we usually stay at the MGM, and then I've been last year I just took the shuttle over. It was easy.
Is
Yeah,
that
train.
the monorail thing?
Yeah, yeah. We just took that every day.
I just learned about that.
It's convenient. It was super convenient for what we did. I mean, we were at the MGM, literally get on the monorail, go over.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to wait for a bus. You don't have to get an Uber. You don't have to get the tour van. It was easy.
Now, what about that the Tesla loop? Is that helpful or no?
Not yet. I don't think not yet
Okay.
because that's over by the convention center and it goes to like Fountain Blue or Resort World. And
Okay, so it doesn't go totally south of the strip yet.
yeah, and then
Gotcha.
when they get done with the Oakland A's stadium tearing down the Tropicana, that's going to be a whole new nightmare.
Yeah, I mean Vegas certainly is not it's not logistically uh perfected, let's say that.
Yeah, it's a good
I
word.
don't know why, personally, I don't know why they would put that there. There's so much available land, they could have built that elsewhere and
Yeah,
built a tram or whatever. And the thing that's really difficult for a lot of people is that Route 93 lot probably will be incorporated somehow with
it won't
the
be.
parking or something. It won't be?
I don't think so. I don't think they're
Okay.
gonna.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Route 90.
That's
I was actually supposed to work that event.
really.
Yeah, I got offered to work that event. I'm like, no, I'm going to stay home and get on the road.
Oh wow.
So we had five employees working there,
Oh my gosh.
and
Oh
then
my
Cowboy
gosh.
Troy with Big and Rich was on right before Jason Aldean.
Well, yeah, my friend Rich is the drummer for Jason Aldean. He was supposed to play in LA the next night with me. We had a show together in LA. And he's like, dude, I can't leave. Like, I don't have my ID. I don't have any. They took everything because of
Everything.
the investigation. So thankfully, Glenn Sobel, who plays with Alice Cooper, sat in and we had a good show. But Rich was supposed to play with me the next night.
Yeah, literally, I
So
was texting the people I work with, and I was texting Troy. And I'm like, "What's going on? You okay?"
yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad to hear that your sources are telling you that, because I just was hearing it from a local. Like, they were like, "Oh, this is gonna." I'm like, I don't know. Like, that seems
I don't know what they're going to do with that land. To be honest, I mean,
they should just put a memorial.
50
You know what
people
I mean?
almost died there. Yeah,
I mean, it's not easy to talk about even still today, but what they did at the World Trade Center, the memorial is
yeah,
absolutely amazing.
yeah,
It's remarkable. So they could do something,
yeah.
you know, there to
Because they
signify.
had started building that Ferris wheel. They were going to build
Yeah,
a second Ferris wheel there.
yeah.
I had that big tower there because I worked at Mandalay Bay for the rodeo for 8 9 years straight. So we just drive by that all the time.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad they're not doing it, but the whole thing is they could have put that stadium anywhere,
anywhere.
but
Uh,
and the locals already are having enough fuss with the F1 being there, which was I was there, it was amazing, but they don't make it easy to get to the strip, that's for sure. If you're out in
well,
Henderson or
I guess where
Sutherland.
I feel bad, my wife was a day one employee at New York, New York. She worked there for
Okay.
18 years. And she's
Uh,
like, I can't. I mean, when they built the T-Mobile, all the workers had to park over Bellagio and take a shuttle bus over
oh my God.
because they were doing all the construction and all that. It's like
Right.
she said, the traffic for people going to work is going to be a nightmare. I go, if the A's ever get good, you get 40,000 people showing up for a game. The Yankees are in town or what? Forget about it. The Dodgers and the
Yeah. I mean, I just went to Allegiant Stadium a few weeks ago and saw a show there, and just getting 65,000 people away from there
did that.
is a total pain.
I went to the Raiders game last December when I was there for the rodeo. It was crazy.
Well,
We walked
yeah,
home.
there you go. There's no way you can it takes 2 hours to get an Uber or a
Yeah.
taxi.
We literally because we stay at the MGM because we went to the Uber booth and we're like, I'm not waiting 45 minutes. Like, so we walked in the
Yep,
Mandalay Bay, got on that little monorail that takes you up to Excalibur.
yep.
Then we walked across and we got back for free faster than what we would have waited for an Uber.
Yeah, I understand the allure of all the grandiosity of it, but it certainly sucks logistically. It really does.
Well, you know
And
what happened with that was all the warehouses around Allegiant.
yep,
Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, wanted to buy all those places and build parking. Well, if you own that warehouse and it's worth, let's say, $1 million, and Mark Davis comes to you and says, "Hey, we want to buy it," he goes, $5 million, and you can have my warehouse.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
So they didn't secure the land around the stadium before they started doing the stadium. So everybody that owned that property is like, "Oh no, 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 no!
yeah, you're not getting it.
Price just went up." That's why there's no
Jeez.
parking.
Wow, I had no idea, but that
Yeah,
makes total sense
the only
because
parking that they have there is for the players and personnel. That's it.
yeah, it's terrible. And you throw in T-Mobile, you throw in whatever is happening on the strip, and now you throw in a baseball stadium,
Yeah.
you guys forget about it. It's just and you throw in 120-degree heat. Yeah, it's not but I get why it's these things are where they are, Vegas, that's over the top.
Well,
It's,
but like we talked earlier,
you know,
people are leaving California, not just people, not just studios,
yeah.
but now you have the Raiders that left California. Now you have the A's that left California.
I couldn't
No
I could
corporate
tell
tax in
you
Nevada.
no, that's what my business is incorporated in Nevada,
Hmm.
you know. I could tell you, God, I could probably count 20 musicians right offhand that are LA transplants. Keith, who plays drums for Black Eyed Peas, moved to Vegas with his family. I mean, so many people the thing that makes it easy is if you have a gig, right? Like, so if
Yeah.
you if you know you're going to work, you kind of know what you're going to project for the year or 2 years, you've been with an artist, then you can really go. There's still something to be said about living in LA or Nashville to pick up the audition or the tour. That's for sure. But like I said earlier, with social media, you do have more opportunities. But if you have like a steady gig, like Steve Stevens, he could live anywhere. It doesn't matter where he lives,
Well,
you know.
I saw something 2 days ago. It said if you make $1 million in California, you're at a 12.2% tax rate for state income. So I go, if you make $1 million, that's $120,000 a year just to live in California. So you can live in Nevada
Right.
and not pay the $120,000 and then
Yep.
get a private jet to fly here once in a while and
There
be
you
here in
go.
25 minutes.
There you go. Or get your own PPL pilot's license and fly your $120,000 Cessna that you just bought
Yeah.
yourself over there.
Yeah. I mean, legit though. I mean, that's what they're
You
doing.
know, it's true. It's, you know, all these places are essentially a business, right? Like you are basically paying to be here. You're paying to be in the United States. You're paying to be in or wherever. I mean, obviously you don't have a lot of choice if you're born somewhere, but you pay for the business of the United States to operate and for you to occupy, which is, I didn't mention it earlier, I'm going to have dual citizenship with Italy very soon. So through my family, that gives me an opportunity to have other options when I don't feel like participating or paying for this service that I get in the United States anymore. And something like that is, you can't put a price on that, to be honest, because you're paying 12.5% in California. And I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard it a zillion times, the treasure trove of list of things that are negative right now that didn't used to be that way here, you know. And what a shame, because this is probably, besides Hawaii, one of the most beautiful places in the US,
Yeah.
without a
Well,
doubt.
Hawaii's either first or second most expensive place to live, right behind California.
There you go. So some people will say, is what I am I getting worth it at this point? And they might just say no. You know, okay, so I have good weather, but I'm paying $120,000. Why?
Well, I got a
For
friend
what?
that lives in Henderson, but he has an
Yeah,
apartment here.
there you go.
So his
Yeah,
residency, and he lives in Nevada,
yeah, but
but he stays at his West Hollywood apartment quite frequently.
there you go. I mean,
Well,
certainly one thing I didn't give up is my West Hollywood apartment. I still have it.
yeah,
I'm not there, but I have it, you know.
you can always
But
visit.
yeah, you're right. It's things have changed so much, you know.
Yeah.
And if and just to circle back, if you're just an artist and you're not thinking about this other half, you're gonna find yourself in a bad way, because, you know, sure, I would say don't get into the music business, but if you get in and you are vigilant, you can do good things. You can do great
Yeah.
things. You really can. But you just have to understand all facets of it, you know?
And kind of think out of the box. I mean,
Exactly. Exactly.
you're not just going to, join a band, sell 1 million records and become a millionaire and live the life.
Yeah.
Not going to
Sell
happen.
1 million records, you make what, $100 maybe? Who knows?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
you have for 1 million streams on Spotify, you make 3 grand.
Oh, jeez.
And that doesn't include paying your managers. That doesn't include paying taxes. You know,
Yeah.
now you're not going to pay much on taxes. You get your residuals on a monthly basis, about $250.
No,
But yeah,
it's a
it's ridiculous for 1 million downloads.
yeah, you have to
Three
think
grand.
outside the box, you know. And there's one thing, like, you know, you could do is that's popular is people do acoustic versions or electric ambient versions of songs, you know. And you put those out and they get on maybe a cozy coffee house playlist
Yeah,
on Spotify. And so you have your record version, and you put out a different version, or you put a cover song out. Whatever you put out, though, you own 80% of. So as long if you're not with a major, you can find a way around it. But then you have to befriend the gatekeepers that have the playlists, right? So if
Yeah.
you can get on it but how much are you really going to have to pay to get on the playlist?
Well,
So it's,
Jason did that with his new album. It's a double album, and
uh-huh,
it's going to be actual vinyl. But
nice.
one is a live band, and the second is the exact same songs, but all acoustic.
Right. So now he's found, you know, with the same songs, you've got two versions,
Yeah.
self promoted, self recorded, and self owned. So yeah, now you're getting a more majority of the streams, but then you have the other side. Well, how much money do I have to use to promote this? How much? But maybe he's at a place now where his fan base is so big that it makes sense to go on his own.
Yeah.
He'll be able to recoup his promotional costs way quicker, and now he'll be in the black right away.
Yeah. And he said he would prefer to be an opening group on a bigger tour versus headlining smaller clubs. So that's what he's looking to do.
Well, I think he just did it, or maybe it was when he played in the Dirty Knobs. I don't remember. One of them, he did some opening dates for Chris Stapleton.
Yeah. No, Dirty
Maybe.
Knobs.
Okay, so that probably, seeing that and having that experience, go, okay, this is what makes sense. I mean, his music is certainly, there's no shortage of artists that he could open for with the
Yeah.
style of music he has, and the talent level he has. So there's no doubt he can do that.
Yeah. We'll see.
And but once again, music business, okay, well, some of those
Get
tours
the
might
cat.
require a buy on, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you go whatever we're talking about now on this podcast, it's already different. We're already 6 months behind of the trends in the music business. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, you think in a year, like, where are you going to be? With
Yeah.
passports takes off or,
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And I had a producer though, first professional job I ever had in music. He said, however long you think it's going to take in the music business, double it.
yeah.
And he goes, whatever we're trying to do now, whatever sound we're chasing, whatever we're doing, it's already 6 months over. The new sound is already coming, and nobody, once you put out something that sounds like Morgan Wallen and Post Malone, you're already 6 months behind,
Yeah.
you know, even if it just came out last week. So you've always got, no matter what we're talking about, it's already changing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. We just did a promotion with Post, with Stetson. So he did
Nice.
some ball caps. But
Very cool. Yeah.
that's,
I haven't heard his new album yet, but I'm happy for him because it seems very authentic, and
yeah,
it
man. I
seems
mean,
that,
I know he's getting some hate, a lot, just country people in general, but,
yeah,
whatever. There's another pop artist. I can't say his name. He's working on a country album right now.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll tell you offline, but
sure.
going to get a lot of hate, but whatever.
Well, countries kind of become cool, right? In a lot
Yeah.
of ways, and very mainstream. That and hip hop are probably the highest generating forms of music right now. But I think that Post Malone, I've enjoyed what I've heard because I feel it's authentic, which
He's a
I like.
musician. I mean, he's good.
He is for sure. He grew up listening to that music. You see a lot of guys that turn country, and like Beyonce put out a country song or a record. I mean, nobody's even talked about it again. Like it's gone with the wind
Yeah.
to me, and totally inauthentic. She for sure did not grow up appreciating and listening to country.
She
I
grew up in
don't wouldn't
Houston, man. She grew up in Texas.
really. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, but
I didn't hear the music, so, but Post stuff, I
yeah,
heard some of Post stuff, and I'm like, it's good.
yeah, it is, and I like it. So
Yeah.
it's
All good, man.
yeah, whatever people are doing though now, it's that sound is gone.
Yeah.
They're already producers are creating something new already.
Always on to the next. Well, hey,
That's it.
whenever this new show breaks, maybe I can get your partner on the show some point.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, she would love it. She'd be a great guest.
Sounds like she's traveling, so.
Yeah, Harmony Shea on Instagram.
And
Yeah,
Erik Himel. So What's the best way for my listeners to follow up with you and stay in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way is just at Erik Himel, ErikHimel, and that's where I post everything. So you can see everything from there. You can see any of my musical direction clients or when I'm out touring and playing for artists, and I'll link everything else I'm doing through there.
So all your upcoming shows or any of the Vegas stuff, it will be on your Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything will be posted right there, right on the story or right on the main thing.
cool, man. I'm
Yeah.
excited, and I'll definitely hit you up when I get out there.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you.
Cool, Bo. Well, hey, get out of the car, go have some fun.
Appreciate it. Well, thanks for having me on, Peter. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so
All
much.
good. I really
It's been a
appreciate the
blast.
time.
You got it.
All right, talk to you soon, bud.